Welcome to Apologetics for the Rest of Us podcast with Dr. Ray Ciervo. This podcast seeks to simplify the complex challenges to our faith for the everyday follower of Jesus Christ. You'll discover how to give answers to everyone who asks you about the hope within your heart, as Dr. Ray explains not only what we believe, but why we believe what we do. And now here's your host, Dr. Ray Ciervo.
Hey, this is Ray Ciervo of No Pat Answers, and this is Apologetics for the Rest of Us. And today we're going to do the second part of my interview with Nicole Nelson about her book, Cursed with Common Sense. So this is part 2 of our interview, and without saying too much, let's get right into it.
And you know what else was helpful, and I don't know if you know about these guys, so one of the things I try to do is read the Bible, right? Sure. And so I start reading it, and I don't even know what Bible I was reading, but I'm just like, what could anybody get out of this? Like, what in the world is anybody talking about? So there's something called the Bible Project.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Oh, seriously, you know? Okay.
Yeah.
So they have something called Read Scripture.
Yep.
So like, let's say you're going to read John. It has a whole, like, here's what it's going to be about. So then when you're reading it, you at least kind of have something that you can follow. Mm-hmm. And so then they have their podcast. And what I do now, so I go horseback riding twice a week. That's my activity. It takes me a half hour to drive there. So I get my coffee and I listen to the Bible Project podcast. And
there you go.
It's so good. Like, you just connect with it because they find that they're saying it in a way that makes sense.
Yes.
The last series they did was on the seventh day and what the sevens mean, and
right.
7 this and 7 that. And it's so cool. And it's like, if anybody realized how amazing the Bible actually was, if you actually attempt to try to understand it.
Exactly.
Everyone would want, like, this is the coolest stuff. This is the coolest stuff ever.
Yeah.
And also then I think what happened to me, like, I used to just go to happy hour and shopping with my friends, and now I'm listening to two guys talk about the Bible. But I guess that's what I do now.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Tim Mackey is the one guy in the Bible Project, and I love their themes. If you go to their website, thebibleproject.com, they have a whole list of themes that they take in the Bible or do in the Bible, and they're great. I mean, they're just, the one I recommend to people all the time is just a simple one, is how to read the Bible. And there's like 5 videos that explain what the Bible is about, the different kinds of literature in it, and the meaning for each one of them, and how to understand what the author is getting at.
Yeah.
So that's a great one too. And,
yeah, they also take certain words and they'll have a whole hour about the word witness, let's say.
Yeah.
And so like what we think witness might mean to us in our culture, in our life, is not really what it meant to the authors of the Bible. So when they said that word, they're saying this, but we're thinking this. And
right.
If we're not thinking what they were thinking, then we don't really know what they were trying to say.
Exactly.
And that's so helpful too. It's like, oh, okay. What were they trying to say? And then it makes you care more because it makes more sense. And then you think, what were they trying to say? Yeah. Makes it a lot more interesting, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've reached a generation that really depends on video.
Yeah.
And that's really what speaks. And I've given it to my kids and my grandkids and say, you've got to pay attention here. Yeah. Like you said, we, as a church, we read through it together. So in other words, every Sunday we say, this is what it's going to do this week. We're going to cover this book and that sort of thing.
Okay.
That's really cool. Yeah, it's really helpful.
Well, speaking of videos, I have one other thing that's helpful. Have you ever heard of it? Now it's this show that came out, but you can only watch it through an app, but it's called The Chosen.
Yes.
So it's kind of a creative look on it because it's not super biblically based, but they'll take like a character and imagine what their life probably was like.
Right.
So I watched that, and I'm a big fan of that because, like you said, everyone wants like a Netflix show to watch because that's super fun to watch, but if they could make the Jesus story maybe into more,
sure.
And that's kind of what they did.
Yeah.
So suddenly it's more interesting because it's being told in a way that if you kind of care and you kind of don't care, you're interested enough in the story to follow it, and then it hopefully would bring up some questions where now you're somewhat interested.
Yeah, that's great.
So that was another good one, I thought, too.
Yeah, well, if you give me a time frame, how long have you been to the point where you gave your heart to the Lord and said, I'm all in?
Yeah, so, well, my son was almost 5, and now he's almost 10, so maybe about 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah,
right.
And I'd say before he got sick, I was looking in to satisfy my mind, probably for maybe even a few years before that.
Right.
So it's been a process, and now it's kind of become my hobby and my interest. And instead of listening to music, I listen to Bible podcasts.
Yeah.
Instead of doing other things, I just sit and read these books, and I don't really know why I'm doing it for sure, but I just know that's what I'm doing right now.
Well, the product, you've written a book.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it usually isn't the course that most people take when they everybody could probably write something about their testimony, but I think what grabbed me was your subtitle, how you realize thinking you're too smart for God is really dumb.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just blatantly honest.
Well, so at first I was going to call this book Eyes to See, because I thought I had these new eyes to see, but my sister is kind of my target audience, because she's more like me before all of this.
Right.
And so I would send her stuff and be like, oh, what do you think about this? And she's like, that title is so boring and nobody's going to care about it. So then I thought, oh, this title, the one that I ended up choosing, I felt like it was really blunt, but it was kind of funny and kind of true.
Yeah.
And I feel like I tried to, in my book, make it entertaining enough that if you don't even care about the history of Christianity at all, it's like kind of funny, so maybe I can suck you in with some other stuff, and then sprinkle in some stuff to make you think. Yeah,
I think that, I need to say it clearly, my target are Christians, basically, who aren't really using their minds and are just kind of like being dragged along or on an emotional roller coaster. And or Christians who are or people, I should say, that are on the fence and really have never looked at the historical reliability of the New Testament. They've never read More Than a Carpenter, or never had those ideas. So when I saw the title of your book, I just taught a seminar on the philosophical side of using your intellect, reason. And I said, my philosophy is a common sense philosophy. It's something that when you see it, you say, oh yeah, why didn't I think of that? Someone said the only thing about common sense is that it's not too common, And so your title kind of, it grabbed me. And then as I started reading the book, I thought it was a little bit whimsical. I thought, now, how are you going to get to this place? But I thought you did a great job. I really did. I really do think that you basically made you related to someone right where they would be, and you brought them on your journey to where God really got hold of you.
Okay.
And to me, that was the impression of it. And so that's when I think it was on Instagram that I saw an advertisement for the book or something there, and that's when I first contacted you.
Okay. Well, thanks for saying that about the book, because that's kind of what I envisioned myself. And that's why I had to start it when I was in junior high. I don't know, because I'm like, someone's gonna, like, when do you want to hop on board this story? Because like I said, I'm a hairstylist. That's my job. I do hair. And so I hear people's stories all day long.
Right.
And they're all kind of following a similar flow. And so that's, I think, why I felt more confident just saying all this stuff, because I know a lot of people were insecure in junior high, or, were arrogant about when they had a good job, or I don't know. I'm just like, where do you want to hop on? And then let's, hopefully go further than you.
So we're going to take a short break and come right back to the last part of part 2 of my interview with Nicole Nelson on her book, Curse with Common Sense.
If you're enjoying Apologetics for the Rest of Us, we invite you to help support us. You can donate by going to www.nopatanswers.com and click on the Support Us button. You can also send a check to RCM P.O. Box 507, Ocean, New Jersey, 07755. We are grateful you are listening to the podcast and pray it helps you strengthen your faith and witness.
I think I thought of probably a half a dozen women that needed to read this,
Yeah.
when I was going through it.
Yeah.
Because here I am, an old guy, and I'm reading this thing, and I'm saying, how is she going to get from here to there? And then I realized how you were just identifying with things that young women would be going through. And I started thinking of, one of them was my granddaughter, who'll probably listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
And I thought, this would really help her. She would really see that this is, what she's going through. She got 3 boys under 4.
Yeah, I know what chapter she'll relate to. I already know where she might hop on. Those are hard. Those are like the hardest times ever.
Yeah.
And you feel so desperate and so lonely. And one thing that I'm realizing I really maybe have a heart for is, I feel like for me at least, I thought if I checked off all these certain things on my list, I was finally going to reach this like satisfaction feeling. Yeah. And it was getting married, having kids, having my own business, having a puppy, whatever. And then I got it.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't it.
Right.
And then what do you do?
Yeah.
Right. And so I feel like I talk to a lot of people who just think, oh, if I could just lose 20 pounds, that's going to be it. Or if I just have another kid, that must be the ticket.
Right.
And it just never is. And so I just think I know what the ticket is. Maybe, but it's going to sound so crazy that unless you know my backstory, you're just going to think I'm just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where my heart is like, you guys, I think this could be it, but erase everything you think you might know about it because I don't know, might be negative. It really doesn't, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm coming from.
And you hit your target. You accomplish what you're looking to do.
Well, thank you. That makes me feel good.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I didn't see when it was published, how long it's been out.
It's been out since May.
Okay.
So, yeah, and I don't know. I've never written anything. I don't know why. I just wrote it, and I thought it was kind of good. And then so, my sister, again, I had her read it, and she's like, this is so helpful. And so, people like you liking it who actually have an education in this, that's why I was insecure to have read it, because I'm just like, this is what I've come to this conclusion. Is this what people think, or am I so off here?
Right.
So it feels good to hear that I'm not so far. Maybe this is kind of the right thought process.
Yeah. No, I think that I think you hit your mark. I really do. I mentioned, a few people that a woman that I'm really good friends with, Natasha Crane. I think I mentioned in an email to you about her.
Yeah.
She's on her 3rd book.
Okay.
And I don't believe Natasha has any formal training in apologetics, but when she was confronted by atheists, she just went on a rampage of reading everything she could about how do you defend your faith.
Yep.
And she knows as much as anybody that I went to seminary with. I think she's read it and digested it. Like I say, she's on her 3rd book now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
if you go to find her and follow her on Instagram.
Her webpage, her blog. She writes a blog called Christian Mom Thoughts.
Okay.
.com. That's her blog. And if you ever write to her, just mention that you know me and that we've done an interview already, and that I think she's a good friend. Yeah, we've had her here to speak, and we've both spoken at the same national conference. So she's a good friend, and she is really committed to teaching parents of young children how to learn this stuff. so that they can teach their kids
Mm-hmm.
why the Bible is reliable and why it's true. And that's the
Yeah.
important thing. It's men and women, husbands and wives your age that need to learn this stuff so you can train your children. So
Yes.
they're not, drifting away because church is boring or someone's challenged them and they don't know how to answer it.
Yeah. I had a friend who I don't think he believes, but he said, well, Nicole, now what are you going to do when your kids start questioning their belief? And I said, that's what I'm waiting for. Like, I want them to, because
Yeah,
I'm so confident that they'll find answers.
that's right.
And I will help them, but I also want to help them think for themselves. I do it now. I say, well, some people think this. This is what I think. Here's why I think it. Whatever.
Right.
I want them to question it because I don't want them just believing because I told them to, because I don't think that that's a true belief anyway. You're just doing it because I told you to. Well, that's not my goal,
Yeah, absolutely. That's great.
Yeah, I'll have to follow her. I think that sounds right up my alley.
Yeah. So kind of winding down, but what do you have anything you think would really help skeptics? I mean, your book is really the thing I would promote, but is there anything that really helped you get over the hurdle of not believing?
I just think don't be afraid to ask questions. You should ask questions and look into it. Because I think for a long time, I would say, oh, well, there's no evidence for anything. So,
Right.
But I never looked for evidence in anything. I just assumed there wasn't because I had never died. And so how was I supposed to know what happened?
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully my book would be just for a very broad questions.
Yeah.
But that More Than a Carpenter book was super helpful for me. And another thing I listened to that was helpful was called The Bible for Grown-Ups by Andy Stanley.
Yeah.
He just set the stage where I wish I would have known about that 4 years ago, but it just all kind of tied together. It's like, don't be afraid to look into this because I feel like you'll find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that's great.
That would be my big advice.
Yeah. Well, I think it's good advice. I think it's really good. I'm really so pleased to have this opportunity to talk to you and get to know you some.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. And yeah, this will be up. My website is Notepad Answers, but it's also a YouTube channel, so that's where this will go.
Okay.
And yeah, if that's okay. And I do put out a podcast too called Apologetics for the Rest of Us that shows up on iTunes.
Okay.
But
all right.
thank
you for taking the time and thinking what I had to say was worthwhile.
Absolutely. Don't doubt yourself.
Okay.
Because I think this is so appropriate for young women, for young moms to see it. People who've grown up just the same way you have, thinking that dating and this and that was going to solve all their problems, or that's where it was.
Yeah.
You're a successful businesswoman, and now you've got a book out. Look at that.
Yeah. Sounds pretty good.
It does, right?
Yeah.
So it's been a real pleasure talking to you, Nicole. And if you need me for anything, if I can help you with any answers or direction, feel free. I
really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Good. So this is the end of the second part of my interview with Nicole Nelson. If you haven't listened to part 1, you should go back to the first part and listen to that and then re-listen to this, because it really puts things into perspective on how Nicole went from skepticism and doubt to faith in God. I trust that this will be a blessing and instructive and help you understand that there is a journey to go on in finding God in faith. So till the next time, this is Ray Ciervo.
You've been listening to Apologetics for the Rest of Us with Dr. Ray Ciervo. We hope you've enjoyed this episode and subscribe to our podcast. Also, please visit our website at www.nopadanswers.com, where you'll find more information about conferences and seminars. If you have questions for Dr. Ciervo, you can email him at info@nopadanswers.com. Have a great day, and God bless.